lovers. Welcome once again to Creepy Cheapies here at the Library of Horror Hotel. And I was just looking over some letters here in the male skull, which is to say not a female skull, but a male skull. Yeah, looking at the male skull, and I see a letter from a viewer, an interested viewer of Creepy Cheapies, who wants to know if I have any behind-the-scenes photos that I could share, you know, showing behind the scenes, like how we make the Creepy Cheapies episodes. And I do have some, so I think what we'll do now is just go ahead and do kind of like a slideshow presentation. We'll show you some photos, and here we go. Okay, so for those of you who've always been curious, the way we get started is each week my 23-man crew has to come in and, well, they first collect all the component parts of the set, that is to say the wall with the window in it, and oh, you know, the shelves and the chair and all the other stuff that you see, and the camera equipment. All that stuff is, of course, loaded onto a plane by the 23-man crew. And if anybody's wondering where I got the 23-man crew, I hired them from a temp agency called Nondescript 35-year-old White Guys. Yeah, that's the name of the company. But anyway, always get a good crew, you know, hard-working guys, don't complain much. They load the parts of this set onto the plane, and we then prepare for the weekly flight up to Mount Kangchenjunga. That's Mount Kangchenjunga. Yes, that's right, the one that's on the Nepal-India border, or close to it, in the Himalayan range. Now, we fly up there to shoot Creepy Cheapies each week, and of course, there are some severe weather conditions, sometimes very cold, sometimes very windy, sometimes difficult or occasionally even impossible to land the larger aircraft up there. So a lot of times the crew will have to be good sports, and they're prepared for this. You know, they will carry the components of the set up the side of the mountain the last few hundred kilometers. And oh, thankfully we have help from our very helpful and always cheerful and very experienced Sherpa guide. I hope there's a picture of him showing right now. Yeah, that's our Sherpa guide every week. He's known as Tenzing Nima Pasang Dawa Lakpa Karma Dorji Nawang for short, and he helps out with you know, navigating the risky and dangerous conditions of the slopes of Mount Kangchenjunga there in the Himalayas. So once all the parts are up there on the mountainside, usually on the west-facing side as much as possible, a few hundred kilometers from the absolute peak, the set will be reconstructed each time to very precise specifications to make sure that it looks pretty much the same every week, so that the viewers will see the same set behind me every week as I'm doing this. Now, as for me personally, I had childhood asthma when I was a kid, and the thing that always set me off and caused asthma attacks, it wasn't like stress or fear or anything like that. It was breathing cold air. So even though I haven't had trouble with that in many years, I still kind of feel like I should play it safe. I don't do well in extreme cold. So I fly to the location there along the Nepal-India border at the last minute in the masked plane. Now, the masked plane, of course, is specially heated. It's a lot smaller and easier to land. And luckily, the one time that it crashed, okay, the one time the masked plane crashed, it's made almost entirely out of RD-407 latex, so nobody was hurt because it bounced. Now, most of the episodes of Creepy Cheapies have been directed by washed-up, has-been Hollywood film director Mr. Roland Side Salad, seen here with his favorite leading lady, Flora McKitchen. And it's very costly flying the director here every week to do the Creepy Cheapie episodes, because he has to be flown in all the way from the year 1937. And I don't know if you guys know it, but tariffs on flux capacitor parts made in Libya are pretty pricey, and you know, it really costs something. But anyway, once that's done, the crew will then strike the set, which is means take down the set. They'll take the set down and you know, put everything back on the plane and prepare for the next week's Creepy Cheapy. So that's all the behind the scenes. And having said that, let's move on to today's mask, which is who? Yeah, one of the classic crazy evil slasher guys, the definitive monster of the 1980s, I think, Freddy Krueger. Yeah. Now, if you think that looks a little different, was something wrong with it? No. Let me just mention that Freddy's makeup looks a little bit different in every movie. And yes, you did just hear me accidentally kick the male skull over, but that's okay. I'll pick it up after we're done shooting, or I'll have one of the guys from the crew pick it up. Maybe Sven or Oli or Lars or the real girl. I'll have somebody pick it up and fix it up for me there. But anyway, this particular Freddy is from the movie New Nightmare, aka Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, this sculpture was originally released a long time ago. The movie is from 1994. Oddly enough, Trick or Treat Studios, just put that on the screen, yeah. Trick or Treat Studios, who re-released the mask in time for Halloween of 2025. Oddly enough, they say it's the 93 Freddy, but I couldn't find any evidence of it being in any of the Elusive Concepts catalogs or brochures, and that's the company who originally released it. I couldn't find any evidence of it before 1996. And it would have been very strange if it had really come out in 1993, because the movie didn't even come out until 1994. And yes, I realized that they would have known what Freddy was going to look like before the movie was in theaters, because they had to put the makeup on and make the movie, I know. But it would have been really strange for a mask to come out before the film does. And I don't believe they revealed Freddy's new look a year ahead by having a mask out. Now, the version that came out, as far as I know, in 1996, the one that came out was not nearly as nice. Unlike movies, most of the time movies, you know, the remakes don't live up to the originals, but once in a while in the world of masks, as with this one, sometimes the remake is better. I know, controversy. Sometimes the remake is better than the original. And the original Elusive Concepts mask from the mid to late 90s was indeed this same sculpture. And Trick or Treat have actually gained access to and used an original master from the original casting from back then. So this one's kind of a piece of horror nostalgia. And the reason I say it's better is that the ones back in the day from Elusive Concepts were made out of vinyl. Not that there's anything wrong with vinyl, but they weren't very nicely made. They were kind of thought of as a cheap sell-through masquerade party kind of item. And they didn't have a lot of detail. They were kind of thin vinyl. They just weren't very deluxe. And Trick or Treat has gone back and given this sculpture more of what I think is the attention it deserves. I remember the vinyl ones, they kind of didn't know what to do with the sides and the back of his head, and they wanted to make it look blotchy, so they just put airbrushed blotches like spots, but sometimes it looked like he was polka dotted, sometimes not that great. Anyway, hard to find one of those today, because everybody wore them at the haunted house and the haunted hayride and the haunted trail and the haunted podiatry clinic and whatever else, and tore them up and destroyed them. The eyes were a little different on the vinyl version, as well as this having a nicer paint job in terms of it has a little more detail, a little more precision. The eyes were different. The vinyl version had sort of cream-colored eyes with a reddish circle drawn in there and then a red dot in the middle. Okay, almost like a Target. Hey, did they sell that mask at Target stores? You don't know. Well, they should have, certainly. Target's for eyes. Now, one peculiar anomaly here that I cannot really account for is that I had one of these way back in the day, and it was given to me by an employee of Elusive Concepts, and it was unpainted, and I painted it myself, and it's the only one of these I've ever had the opportunity to work on. The only one I've ever painted, and it was made of latex. So I'm not sure if maybe there were plans to release a latex version at some point and they never did. I don't know. But ultimately what came out was vinyl. And the one that I painted, I made him, I guess close to this, but I think I gave him a more distinct pale blue iris in the eyes. I'm hoping there are photographs showing up on your screen right now of the one that I painted and the one that I mentioned before that was from Elusive. Anyway, this particular Freddy, what would you wear with it? Gosh, I wonder. How about a Freddy sweater, of course, which you can get here and there. Anyway, this is a really nice piece of prop replica, mask replica, horror nostalgia from the 90s. And they have done a better job here with it than the original version, and taken the same sculpture, and instead of making a super quickie, cranking out lots of copies, they made something a little higher end, a little more deluxe, a little more with the collectors in mind. And if you like Freddy, like I do, I like Freddy as a villain, you should probably pick one of these up. How much do you sell for, Freddy? $67.99? Wow, that was precise. Are you sure? Okay. I'm going to just tell him $65 to $75. Do you mind? Okay. $65 to $75, somewhere in there. Yeah, he insists $67.99, and he's probably right, and I'm not going to argue with him. And of course, in addition to the sweater, the other thing you're going to need if you're going to dress up as Freddy is one of the cool gloves with the knife blades on it. That's the classic Freddy weapon. But anyway, that's your recommendation for this week. And until next week, remember, there are only 3 kinds of people in this world. The ones who are good at math and the other kind.